Hello, Tungsten Miner here. I've been working on the house a little bit more, trying to fill in some of the details of various things, and I thought I would walk you through how that's going. Um, as I mentioned when I was doing some of the earlier videos and building this place, uh, things don't always turn as you'd expect them to, and you sometimes find you want to make changes midway through, and well, sometimes they're bigger changes than you'd like. This is perhaps one of those times. Remember, I started out and I was using the same hickory wood planks for the floor that I'm using downstairs. And I had this whole floor done. It was one big room. And as I was going along, I was like, okay, yeah, my plans are I'm going to have storage down here and power up here and make my machines up here and all that kind of stuff. And now I'm finding uh, it's very inconvenient for a couple of reasons. One, the only place to put power is in the floor here. The room's too short, really, to have power going through the ceiling, and plus, I don't like the way that looks. And I did put in power. You can see the kind of sockets in the walls there. So I had power and water, because I'll need water as well for some carpentry stuff. Coming down the middle, and then I was like, well, actually, I can't turn this hickory stuff into my facades. You know, these kind of thin grid facades or rhyolite facades, all the different ones I'm using, because of, well, extra trees just doesn't support that. I did a little homework and figured out that, yeah, just like microblocks doesn't work very well with these things. Remember I couldn't use the saw to cut them in half, and I have to like cheat them in. Well, the same thing turns out to be true with facades, except you can't cheat them in because there aren't any. They're just not registered as items. So I had to improvise, and I wound up using this thin grid glass to route things and put that on top so you could kind of see them, like you can see them in the basement and other areas of the house. But that didn't look very good either. And it definitely limited what I could do without making all sorts of, cable snaking all over the place, which I didn't like either. Plus, I found having one big room was a little too undifferentiated. There was too many machines just kind of floating around in weird places. So, in trying to solve these problems, I decided I was going to carve this place up into rooms, kind of like a little office building or something like that on this top floor here. And then I was going to use a different material for the floor so that I could make facades out of it and hide some of the piping as it goes through. Well, I looked at all the different patterns and all my choices, and I liked the idea of having these little grids, and I liked the patterns that had the grids being different colors. Makes the floor look like not just big 1 meter chunks, but more like some kind of more sophisticated tile pattern. But I wasn't quite sure which of these two I would prefer, so I went ahead and I made a bunch of both, laid them both out on the floor, and now I've got a room over here with what I'm using is soapstone covers to make the internal walls, and I've got a room over here with the same wall pattern but with the opposite floor pattern. You can also get a sense of how I'm doing the walls. I'm not using soapstone blocks, although in some cases I could, but what I really want is to leave some of this space empty so that I have more choices about what goes in the middle, because I've got these microblock pillars, and while I could take them down and just kind of fudge it and say, yeah, well, there's pillars in the middle of the wall, that's how it works, yeah. I kind of thought it'd be neat to just leave them alone and see how that works. I may change my mind about that, but we'll see. What I'm doing, though, is basically burying the pillars inside the wall. So like this one, for example. And what you see is the way that the microblocks work. This outer surface here is using the texture from the soapstone cover, but on the inside it uses the texture from the granite slab. And you can have these things kind of embedded inside of each other in this kind of complex shape. So I'm going to try that for the time being. We'll see how that goes. You can see in the back end here I've pulled up all the hickory, and I'm not yet decided on which one I wanted to use. I wanted to get enough of a floor in to get a sense of like what the pattern looks like and be able to make a decision based on sight. So here I've got this side And I kind of like this, actually. It's kind of muted. It doesn't clash too much with the other colors. It blends well with the ceiling. Over here, I don't like this as much. Yellow and green are kind of adjacent colors, and they're not quite close enough, so this winds up being really sort of clashy between the two colors and the walls there. And it doesn't do much to pick up on the ceiling or the wall, and the whole thing is just kind of, no, just not the right colors. Whereas this actually works really nicely, and it blends with the andesite, and it blends with the rhyolite. It picks up, it blends with the green. Everything just kind of works because it's so desaturated, and it's not competing with a lot of the colors with different hues. So that's the way I'm going to go. I'm going to tear up all of this stuff over here and make this. The next thing I've been working on is right over here. You can see I had the power cable going outside, and I've got this wooden storage crate embedded in the wall. So let me show you what that's all about. Okay, as I step outside here, you can see I've got another BuildCraft robot, and this one has an iron sword. So this is a knight robot. And what I've done is this box has an iron sword in it. I tried using, this is actually kind of surprising, I tried using a Tinker's Construct sword because the Tinker's Construct hatchet works so well. And of course you can set them up to auto repair themselves, so you wind up not having to replenish the supply. And it didn't work. The robot just wouldn't take it no matter what I did. So I had to go back to using the iron sword. In this case, I decided not to have a switch because there really isn't a convenient place to put one. And so I've just got redstone signal off, load unload in this area. This dot is set to the station I'm standing on at the moment, and this map location is basically, if I zoom in on my map here, from about this corner here down to the same side over here and out far enough to cover this whole rectangle. So basically anywhere in my main crafting area, because I kept noticing, spiders and skeletons and stuff would be like lingering out the windows, making noises and being kind of annoying. Oh, he's gone somewhere. Where did he go? There must be a spider. Oh, he looks like he's already dealt with whatever it was. Ah, yeah, see? A little bit of string just kind of lying out in the yard. It must have been a spider. Yeah, so he's handy. I don't wait around with lots of spider noises in the background anymore. Whoops. So the way he works is, yeah, I've got the point to pick up your sword from. I've got the point to work in. And then this guy has just if there's anything in the inventory, provide these two kinds of swords. Unfortunately, it doesn't matter that this guy provides this sort of sword because the robot won't take it. But now I've got a knight to keep this area nice and clear of mobs, even when I'm not outside to deal with them. So, yeah, I'm going to get back to work on this, but I thought I might share how things change, even in the middle of a build, and even when you think you've got things straightened out. And that's okay. It's fun to adapt and figure out how to solve different problems. Wanted to take a quick aside and talk about this elevator again. It's been a little while, and you may remember the last time I talked about it, I said, oh, well, I couldn't figure out how to get two doors to work properly, and so never mind, I'll move it. Well, as I've been working on getting all of this stuff set up, and getting the machine room upstairs set up, I've found it really darn inconvenient that there isn't a door here. On the other hand, it makes no sense at all to have this corridor come all the way down to end at, well, a blank wall. So what to do? I kind of really do want the door in both places. So I've spent a little time with BuildCraft Gates trying to work out how exactly that could work. And I actually have got it. So here I am, ground floor, both doors open. If I go to the basement, both doors close, down I go, and that door opens. If I go back up to the ground floor, up I come, door closes, right? Great, fine. If I go back down to the basement, and let's say I go back upstairs by well, cheating. Come on, out we go. There we are. And I call up the elevator. It comes, both doors open. Okay, so how did I make that work? Well, as you can see, I've got a button on this side. I've got a button on this side. This is the elevator caller in disguise. So that's going to produce each of those a redstone signal. I've also got underneath here a gate and some red pipe wire on this structure pipe. I'm using structure pipe in this case because I don't need to transport anything, not fluid, not power, not items. I just need a space where I can attach gates and pipes and things, and that's exactly what structure pipes are for. So I've got a structure pipe with a red pipe wire that goes around the side of this structure pipe and all the way up to the top here, where it connects to this other iron gate. So I've got two iron gates connected by red pipe wire. The one that's next to the elevator caller detects a redstone signal and emits a red pipe signal. The one up here detects a red pipe signal and emits a redstone signal. The door, being immediately adjacent to this block, which is emitting a redstone signal, opens. The door, being immediately adjacent to this block, which is emitting a redstone signal, likewise opens. So this door is opening because of the caller. This is detecting the redstone signal, sending a red pipe wire signal up to here, which is creating a second redstone signal, opening this door. Okay. That's why the doors open when I arrive on a certain floor. If I go back down to the basement and then sneak back upstairs, I can see that the red pipe signal is off. Why? Well, naturally, the redstone signal is off because there's no elevator at this floor. So the elevator caller stops emitting its redstone signal. So how do we call it back again? Well, if I press this button here, it's going to emit a redstone signal. If I go take a look over here, not going to be able to reach it from there, so we'll have to cheat again. Probably should have left this deconstructed, at least temporarily. Okay, so here I've got an iron gate there, and I have another iron gate down there. You can barely see it. This one, when it detects a redstone signal, in this case from the button that's directly behind that panel, it's going to emit a blue pipe signal. And I've got a blue pipe wire right there, which again you can just barely see, but it's right there. And that goes across to here. Yeah, see, now you can see that blue pipe wire going across the two of them. And that connects it to this iron gate over here. And this one, when it detects a blue pipe signal, sends a redstone signal. And the elevator caller, detecting the redstone signal, calls the elevator. So why such a complicated set of things? Well, the problem is if you've got too many things all right next to each other that all are sending and receiving redstone signals, then everything starts going haywire. So imagine, if you will, what would happen if I had all the gates on just this segment and the next segment over. This gate here would detect a redstone signal when the elevator arrives, and it would put on its red pipe signal. That would go over to the next segment over, right to there, imagining again that we have it there. And that guy, that gate right there, would detect the red pipe signal, turn on the redstone signal. That would signal this guy saying, oh, there's a redstone signal. He'd turn on the blue pipe signal. That would trigger this guy, which would turn on the blue pipe signal. Notice the blue pipe signal turning on the redstone signal. And then this guy, seeing a redstone signal, would call the elevator. But the elevator's already here, so it would flicker the redstone signal, and that would go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And eventually you'd have this crazy situation where the doors are slamming open and closed, the elevator's jiggling around, and everything is basically just going nuts. So we've got to get all the things separated by enough space where the things that are detecting redstone signals aren't directly next to a block that's creating a redstone signal. So you can see this one detecting a redstone signal, is directly next to this block, and it's directly next to this block, but it is not next to this one, which is the one that triggers that redstone signal. Same thing on the other side. I've got this gate, which is detecting a redstone signal from the button we can't see at the moment. And we've got this gate, which is creating a redstone signal for the sake of the door. And it's got this block in between, which is neutral, is not transmitting a redstone signal. So when this gate sends a redstone signal, this gate won't notice it. That's why I need to have things all shuffled around. Now, whoa, that was exciting. Okay, great. Now we're back on this floor. So in order to hide all the crazy circuitry, I went ahead and made a bunch of facades, blue ones for this side. Quickly put all those back and put these back so that now I can't see any of the circuitry on that side. And I've got some green facades for this side. And of course I can just put these 2 blocks back where they belong. So now I've got no visible circuitry, and I forgot to put those back. There we go. So I don't have a visible door hanging out in the middle of nowhere. So no visible circuitry, and yet I've got 2 doors fully functional by a crazy little dance of red pipe wire and redstone signals and blue pipe wire and redstone signals going back and forth, detecting all of the different situations. Okay, all done. I've added a few things from BuildCraft, and I've gone for a very laboratory sort of look up here. So between the fluorescent lights, the tile floor, the kind of clean white walls, the chalkboards, I wind up with a very kind of laboratory-looking sort of space, which actually I kind of like a whole lot. So this will be the room for the unpowered tools. Over here, I've actually put in the floor both power and eventually what will be water. So I'll have my various carpentry machines and other machines that require fluids to do crafting. So I'll have a squeezer and carpenter, another squeezer and carpenter over here, so I can do seed oil in one and honey in the other. I've got a water pipe coming in here. So I'll have whatever the device is, autonomous. Oh, now I'm forgetting. The one from thermal expansion that allows you to build stuff using fluids, and then also a carpenter that runs on water over here. Of course, I could figure out some way to do water otherwise, but I like to keep things fairly realistic, so piping it in from someplace else is probably best. And then in this room down here, I'm going to have all the thermal expansion machines. Magma crucibles and powered furnaces and pulverizers and induction smelters and the whole crew. And then over here, I'm going to have the rest of the powered machines, whichever ones they wind up being, all the random stuff. So a couple of the different ones from Open Computers, the couple from Galacticraft, whatever other ones that I wind up needing to do the rest of my powered machines. And of course, my wall of lasers for BuildCraft. These are actually the ones that I built for the other place, and I've taken them over, which is the same thing I'm going to do for most of the rest of the machines. I've moved all of my inventory of stuff over, which means, of course, there's very little left to use in crafting things in the other house. So it doesn't make a lot of sense to leave all those machines over there. That's odd. First time that's happened. Oh. Yeah. Occasionally when I'm doing these videos, my mouse cursor gets outside of the window that my recording captures, and so my right click stopped working. Okay, here we are back at the ground floor. I figure I'll have a couple of chests in this space over here so that I can have all of my tools and whatnot for adventuring on one side and food on the other side. Yeah, so as far as all the raw materials and things. I've got all of my minerals and metals and things and alloys over on this side. I've got all of the rest of the metals. Those are all thermal expansion metals, so tin, copper, lead, nickel, silver, and aluminum. As well as mob drops, different kinds of stone. Over here I've got a whole section for crafted items of various kinds. Basically keeping crafted items for a given mod within a single column if I can, and sometimes combining columns if it makes sense. So you can see, for example, on the far left, the top pieces are all from Pneumaticraft, except for those bottom two, which come from Garden Stuff. In this segment so far, I've got Open Computers pieces, which I'll probably make more of eventually. And over on this side, I've got big reactors on the bottom, and I've got forestry on the top for all the extra pieces that you wind up making. And then over here, more crafted items, but either things that are from vanilla Minecraft or things that are fairly basic and common, used across many different mods, so the bronze gear, for example. And that's this side. Over here, I've got dyes. I've got my extra storage doors stuff. I've got basic plants and stuff you wind up picking up as you walk around. And wood over here. And underneath, all of the stuff that you get from beekeeping. And most of this is taken from my other storage drawers, my other house. So I'm kind of moving in to this place here. Here I've got various other minerals that you find in the ground. This is all carbon of one form or another, be it coal, charcoal, pulverized charcoal, coal coke, lignite, ashes, whatever. And then here we've got flint, various kinds of slag, and cinnabar, which obviously somebody's been a little bit lazy about making new graphics for. So yeah, fine, we'll put all those together. Down here I've got all of the different types of underground biomes constructs stones. And I've got the chisel stones, I've got the garden stuff, garden soil, and I've got some of the basic Minecraft, stone and dirt and cobblestone and whatnot down there. Over here, along this wall, I've added some chests, one for machines and manufactured blocks, one for microblocks, one for all of the BuildCraft facades and various other things that you stick to the sides of pipes. And then over here, actually I should move some of these things. I've got various types of pipes and conduits. So let me move all of those things over, as well as robots, extra robots, which are not in active service, but actually will be pretty soon. Okay, yeah. So that's what I've got in all of these storage stuff. There's a few things that are still left over at the old house that I'll be moving over here. But, let's see here. Yeah, some more decorative kind of house building materials and just kind of random plant life. All of this is stuff that I've picked up by doing work around the house. And you might recognize that as a leather chest plate, which of course came from some zombie or skeleton or something that I killed out in the grounds. Okay, I think that's probably about it for this video. So I've mostly been talking about moving in kinds of activities, fixing up the night robot over there, fixing up the elevator circuitry so that I can have both doors open correctly, and talking about rearranging the upstairs rooms to make laboratory instead of a big open setting, and moving over all the stuff here. So not lots of one mod, but a lot of filling in the details of actually moving in and making someplace home. So if you like the video, go ahead and hit like. If you want to see when the next video comes out, hit subscribe, and I will talk to you later.